This is the Chefs Without Restaurants podcast with your host, Chris Spear. Each week, I'll be speaking with food entrepreneurs and people in the culinary industry. If you're interested in learning more about our organization dedicated to helping people build and grow their food businesses, look us up on the web at chefswithoutrestaurants.com and .org, and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Chefs Without Restaurants. Now, enjoy the show. Welcome to the Chefs Without Restaurants podcast. I'm your host, Chris Spear. On the show, I have conversations with culinary entrepreneurs and people in the food and beverage industry who took a different route. They're caterers, research chefs, personal chefs, cookbook authors, food truckers, farmers, cottage bakers, and all sorts of culinary renegades. I myself fall into the personal chef category, as I started my own personal chef business, Perfect Little Bites, 11 years ago. And while I started working in kitchens in the early 90s, I've literally never worked in a restaurant. Welcome to another episode of Chefs Without Restaurants. So today is one of my What is a Chef episodes. If you listen to the show, you know it's something I've been doing this season. I sit down with amazing people in the food and beverage industry, and one of the questions I ask them is, what does it mean to you to be a chef? So today's answer comes from Chef Eli Kulp. Eli is another one of those Philadelphia chefs that I love to have on the show. You might know him as the host of the wildly popular Chef Radio podcast, as well as his second one called Delicious City. Eli is the co-founder and culinary director of High Street Hospitality Group. I can't wait to share the full episode that I had with Eli. It's such an inspiring story. I don't want to give too much of it away, but many of you probably know he was a chef working in Philadelphia. He was traveling back and forth to New York City working on getting a restaurant opened. And in 2015, one of those days he was commuting back and forth. The train he was on actually derailed and a bunch of people died. And in that accident, he suffered a massive spinal cord injury that has left him paralyzed. And now he's in a wheelchair. So, we're really going to dig into that part of the story. What do you do when you're a chef and you can no longer, find yourself working a line, working in a restaurant? What do you do? So that's going to be our full episode. So, like I said, as part of our conversation, I asked him what it means to him to be a chef. So again, this is just a brief episode. It's a little teaser. Our full conversation will be released really soon, so keep a lookout for that. As always, I love your feedback. Please hit me up in the DMs on Instagram at Chefs Without Restaurants. Send me an email at chefswithoutrestaurants@gmail.com. And if you go to chefswithoutrestaurants.org, you'll find all kinds of information like the latest podcasts, how to sign up for our weekly newsletter. You can get gig opportunities through the Chefs Without Restaurants referral network. I would love to connect with you there. So the show will be coming right up after a word from this week's sponsor. COVID has redefined the world of dining. While the pandemic certainly upended the restaurant experience, the personal chef industry experienced record growth. The United States Personal Chef Association represents nearly 1,000 chefs around the US and Canada, and even Italy. USPCA provides a strategic backbone that includes liability insurance, training, communications, certification, and more. It's a reassurance to consumers that the chef coming into their home is prepared to offer them an experience along with their meal. Now, join with our Inflation Fighter special and save $75 on Premier, Provisional, and Preparatory memberships. You can join today at uspca.org and use code INFLATIONFIGHTER22. You can call Angela with questions at 1-800-995-2138 extension 705 or email her at aprather@uspca.org. Payment plans are available. And as always, all this information will be in the show notes. And now, on with the show. Thanks so much, and have a great week. I have one little mini segment that I like to throw in my show, and it's something I've been doing this season, which is I like to ask my guests what it means to be a chef. And this could be like a whole long thing, but like kind of concisely, what does it mean to you to be a chef? Like someone says,
oh man,
a chef is, how do you finish that sentence?
A chef is, for me, I think it would be, being a chef for me was opportunity to teach. I had been taught, I had mentors, and, I love feeding guests. I love, making people happy and, especially events and, seen people come in and people leave excited and, say great things about you and all that. But for me, it's teaching. There was nothing that was more important for me once I was able to get to a level of, like chef de cuisine, where I was running the kitchen and, I had these, young cooks coming in that were eager and they wanted to learn and, to pass on the knowledge. That's what our industry is. It's just a passing on of knowledge. Yes, everybody will have their own creative thoughts and be able to apply their own creative touch to their food and make it theirs after they've, sort of mastered the basics of running a kitchen and learning. I think a lot of times when you first become a chef, you're sort of regurgitating what you know of what you learned from other chefs. It's not, you're not doing a whole lot of, singular viewpoint stuff, where as you get older as a chef, you start to, okay, now I start taking a little bit of all of my knowledge and turning it into something that is new. It's like any artist that out there, has been taught, there's going to be influences from their mentors typically, unless they just discover a whole new genre or something. So you're always going to see touches of, my food will have touches of different chefs that come before me. And, it is it's really about teaching. That's what it is. And for me, I was always an athlete growing up. So, coach is no different than a teacher. And, that's the way I approach my job, was like a coach and of a sports team, where you have your players, you put them in the best possible areas to succeed. It is this, you're always kind of scheming about sort of how to inspire your team and get them as fired up as you are about what they're doing every day. So yeah, I think for me, being a chef is really about teaching.
I think the coach analogy is perfect there, and one that you see over and over, especially in kitchens, because kitchens are not unlike sports teams in a lot of regards.
Absolutely.
Go to chefswithoutrestaurants.org to find our Facebook group, mailing list, and chef database. The community's free to join. You'll get gig opportunities, advice on building and growing your business, and you'll never miss an episode of our podcast. Have a great week.